Hey guys, Diptesh here. Welcome back to the channel. Now this one is a highly requested video. I see a lot of people commenting like for months now that they're getting poor battery life with their gaming laptops and asking me how to fix their high battery drain. Now poor battery life and gaming laptops are almost synonymous. Poor battery life is kind of expected with gaming laptops because they have a higher power draw than usual regular U series laptops, right? But ever since the release of Ryzen 4000, gaming laptop battery lives have increased significantly. So when I see people commenting that they're getting poor battery life out of the Ryzen gaming laptops, that's what makes me wonder what's going wrong. One of the reasons that I recommend Ryzen gaming laptops over Intel laptops is because of the Zen architecture. The Zen architecture is quite a bit more efficient and it can run quite well even with low TDPs. So why are people facing poor battery life with the Ryzen gaming laptops? With Intel laptops it's kind of expected, but why Ryzen laptops? So let's find that out. Okay, so before I give you battery saving tips, the most important thing is to find out what is causing the battery drain. We should know how to diagnose our laptops, how to diagnose whether our laptop is actually drawing more power than required. So let's start with the actual battery size of your laptops. Now you know that battery sizes in laptops come in the form of watt hours. That's the unit that they use. So what is watt hours? So you probably know that HP Victus comes with a 70 watt hour battery and HP Pavilion comes with a 57.5 watt hour battery. Likewise, Legion 5 comes with 60 watt hour battery. So this is watt hours. Okay, so what is watt hours and what does 70 watt hour mean? So what 70 watt hour actually means is that in a perfect world where there is no loss in energy conversion, if your HP Victus is drawing constant 70 watts from its battery, your battery will last 1 hour. As simple as that. So when I see people commenting that they're getting about 3 hours of battery life from their HP Victus doing light tasks, that baffles me because that would mean that HP Victus is drawing 23 watts of constant power doing light tasks, which is quite high. Now it's quite difficult to categorize what is light, what is heavy, because something which is light to one person may be a heavy task to the other. But we have to find a way to draw a baseline. So how to do that? Let's find that out.
Okay, so right now we are in the desktop. So we need to make sure that our system or our laptop is at the like in as much of an idle state as possible. So how do we determine that? First of all, open your task manager. So here you can see that we've got all our tasks, and let's go to performance first. So here you can see that our CPU is right now at 9%, 10%, something like that. So we need to make sure that our CPU is like below 5%. It should hover at around 2 to 3% actually when our system is in an idle state. Right now it is slightly more because I am recording the desktop and the camera is on as well. So I'm going to show you what a idle state scenario looks like in a screenshot over here. And then you've got your GPU. You can see that the GPU is active at the moment. Once again, it's because I'm recording this clip using OBS, so the GPU is active. We have to make sure that the GPU, your dedicated GPU, that is the NVIDIA GTX 1650 in our case, must be inactive in an idle state. If you see that your GPU is active when you're not working with any kind of software which is utilizing the GPU, it means that there is something wrong. There is some background process which is eating your GPU, which is accessing your GPU. And once your GPU is active in any state when you're not plugged in, your battery will be destroyed. Like your battery will be killed in less than an hour. So make sure that your dedicated GPU is always inactive when you are in an idle state. Also make sure that your disks are in inactive state. For example, here you can see our SSD and our hard drive both are at an inactive state, so nothing much is going on. You can see from time to time the hard drive spike up in my case, once again, because the recording is being written to the hard drive at the moment. But yeah, in an idle state your drives must be inactive. That you make sure that your drives are inactive. If you see that your CPU is at a higher utilization, like 6-7% or 8%, go to your processes and check what is utilizing your CPU. You can see over here right now our CPU is being used by XSplit vcam. Then we've got OBS Studio active. These are the main two things that is utilizing the CPU at the moment, as well as the GPU. You can see I'm using my dedicated GPU to encode the video using OBS. So the column over here, the CPU column, must show less than 4% or 5% utilization. Like it should ideally be around 1 to 3%. Okay, And in the GPU side over here, you should not see your dedicated GPU active. Like you may see flashes of the dedicated GPU coming up, maybe like for a second or for a split second, that is fine, but there shouldn't be this kind of prolonged usage of your GPU over here like this. So I hope that's clear now. Okay, now let's move on to something called as hardware info 64. So HW info 64, this is a very important application. It lets you monitor your whole system and will help you diagnose if there is any issue with your system. So let's open the system, let's open this software. So here you can see there's a bunch of information coming up, so we don't want to look at all these right now. So let me just close all of them over here. Okay, let's go to battery. So first of all, we need to make sure that our battery itself is not faulty. Okay, so most of your laptops, they come with preloaded software, like HP comes with HP support assistant, which shows the battery health and all that. Other laptops come with their own softwares, but hardware info 64 will also tell you about your wear level. So here you can see that the laptop is at a 0% wear level. So that's good. In a new laptop, you must see something like the wear level should be at 0%, which means your battery health is at, at 100%. So if you buy your new laptop and you see that your wear level is 1%, or your battery health is at 99% or less than that, uh, you should ideally apply for a return and exchange, or you can replace your battery, because that means your battery has been tinkered with, or your battery has wore off for some reason or the other. So make sure that your battery itself is not faulty, because if your battery is faulty, then all these tests is meaningless. So let's assume that your battery is absolutely perfect, like over here. Then we'll move on to our sensors. Okay, so here are our sensors over here. So let's go to our CPU first. Okay, so here we have our CPU, the Ryzen 5 4600H. So we are trying to keep our system at an as much idle state as possible, and so as a result, over here you can see the CPU package power is hovering at around 7.5 watts or 5.5 watts. It is increasing a little bit over here because our OBS is active, our Xprid VCam is active, and our webcam is also active. So as a result, you can see the CPU package power is slightly high. But I'm going to show you a screenshot probably coming right now on your screen. The CPU package power in an idle state, at least for a Ryzen 5 4600H, is around 2.25 watts. Like generally it even falls down to 1.9 watts, but generally it's at around 1.9 watts to 2.5 watts. So if you see greater CPU package power, for example, if you have a CPU like this, you are seeing a package power of around 7 watts or 6, 7, 8 watts, it means something is wrong. Once again, go back to your task manager and go to your processes section and see if any process is unnecessarily using your CPU more than it is needed. So this is how you diagnose. So over here you can see currently we are using only 5.5 watts of power on average. That is completely fine, because we have some pretty demanding process going on in the background, like Xprid VCam. One more important thing is that this is not the exact power draw of your system. Your system compromises of a lot of things. First of all, the most important power hungry part other than the CPU is your display. The display resolution, the display frame rate, the display brightness, the display size, everything matters when it comes to the power draw of your display. Higher the resolution, higher the frame rate, higher the brightness, higher is the power draw, right? So in order to get a baseline number, make sure to remove this variable. Try to bring your display down to 1080p 60 Hz, and try to bring the display's brightness close to 50%, 40%, which is, we just want to minimize the power draw of the display so that we don't introduce variables. You also have your laptop backlight, your laptop keyboard backlight, turn that off. Make sure to unplug most of your USB peripherals, because the number of USB peripherals that you connect to your laptop will also again increase the power draw of your system. Make sure to unplug all of them. And but in order to get the exact power draw of your entire system from the wall, you need something like a watt meter or an energy meter. You plug your power adapter to the watt meter, and you plug the watt meter to your main wall socket, and it will give you the reading, the amount of power draw your entire system is taking from the wall. So after doing all that, you bring your system to the absolute idle state. Then what you do is, so I'm going to open Firefox, and let's go to YouTube. So As you can see right now, I'm in YouTube, and I'm gonna play just a random video, and I'm gonna do a YouTube playback test. So right now I'm using the HP Pavilion Gaming 15, and just like a I think a month ago I did a YouTube playback test just like this, and I was able to achieve over 6 hours of battery life in this particular idle state, which means the claims that many people say that, hey, my HP Pavilion is giving very poor battery life, is only giving me like 3 hours of battery life or something like that. Some people have said that Victus is getting like 3 hours of battery life, which is quite shocking to me. That is, then there is something wrong with your laptop or your system or your battery itself or the software. Something is wrong, because it is impossible to get such low battery life with such a big battery of 70 watt hour in the HP Victus, because you can see that 57.5 watt hour battery of the HP Pavilion is able to give me more than 6 hours of battery life in the YouTube playback test. That is logical, because that is what I am expecting. It's basically simple maths, right? So as you see, YouTube is going on right now. I'm gonna just go to task manager over here. So you can see, since I'm like opening up YouTube and playing a 1080p video, Firefox is using 2.2% of the system of the CPU, which is fine. Now let's see how much is our power draw from the CPU package. At least see, the power draw of the CPU is about 10.7 watts, 10 watts. It will settle down a little bit, I think around 8 watts. Yep, here you go. 8.4 watts, 8.1 watts. It's dropping slowly. So it is settling down between 8 to 10 watts. So if I wouldn't be recording this video right now, this is what the power draw would be in this scenario. If you're getting like a much higher power draw in this situation, once again, check your processes, check your background processes, what is going on, and make sure to kill them. Okay, right. So you can do this test. Keep your battery charged to 100%. Okay, and do this test. Make sure your system is a completely idle state, and do this test and see what kind of battery life you're getting. If you're having something like a Ryzen 5 4600H with a 57.5 watt hour battery, you should be expecting very close to 6 hours of battery life. 6 or even more than 6 hours, it can be possible. So that's what I'm expecting.
And now for some actual battery saving tips. Number one, whenever you connect to a new Wi-Fi, make sure to turn on metered connection. That would block all types of background syncing, like your OneDrive sync, your Outlook syncing. All those things will be stopped. This will also stop your Windows updates, so there will be no unnecessary automatic Windows updates on your laptop. See guys, I always recommend that if your laptop is fine at the moment, there is no need to update your Windows. I always recommend, don't fix what's not broken. Okay, if it's working fine now, there's no need to update your Windows. So yeah, turn on metered connection whenever you connect to a new Wi-Fi. Second is, go to a Windows background app settings and disable all the background apps. These Windows 10 background apps, sometimes use your dedicated GPU, and that's absolutely killer. If one of your Windows apps starts using a background, in the background starts using your dedicated GPU, your battery life will be destroyed in no time. Especially the Your Phone app and Epic Game Store often uses the dedicated GPU for no reason, and that drains battery life significantly. So yeah, turn off all your background apps. Number 3, drop your refresh rate to 60 Hz when on battery. That saves battery life by a lot. And lastly, number 4, try to use softwares like Ryzen controller for Ryzen laptops or softwares like throttle stop for Intel laptops. Using Ryzen controller, you can set up a profile very easily where you can set your CPU to be at a maximum TDP of 10 watts or say 15 watts. That would mean the laptop will never exceed that TDP, and you can use a laptop like an Ultrabook. So Ryzen controller is highly recommended. I made a video on it. Go check it out. It's a great way to save your battery life and to customize your laptop with the power draw and all that. Similarly, on the Intel cam, you've got throttle stop, which gives you even more control. You can undervolt your laptop and you can set specific clock speeds and save them into specific profiles. I also made a video on how to undervolt and use throttle stop. Go check it out. So these were some tips, guys, to save battery life. First of all, as I said, diagnose your laptop, do that baseline YouTube test, and do say in the comments what kind of battery lives you are getting. For example, on the HP Pavilion Gaming 15 EC1024AX with the 60 Hz display, in the same YouTube playback test with the same settings that I said you, I get more than 6 hours of battery life even now after 1 year. So do let me know what kind of battery life you are getting doing the same tests in the comments. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, then please do hit the like button, also turn on notifications, and if you like the video, then please drop a like. And yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.